emotional, but I'm really, really happy that you're all here with us this Christmas. Gosh, Joel. Anyway, I love you all, and it's really wonderful that you made the long journey to come. Anyway, so now I'm going to tell you a story.
Yay!
So, as you know, I have 3 children, Sean, Scott, and Saskia. And when Saskia was a year old, I wrote a story. And I wrote a story based, using my children's zodiac sign as the characters in the story. So, Sean was Leo, Scott was Bill, and the reason he's Bill, and he was a bull from the Punjab in India, and when I was born in South Africa, the way they pronounce bull, like a Brahmin bull, is to say bull. So it worked, because also Scott's name is William, so Bill, and he was William Scott. And then my 3rd child, Saskia, when I actually penned the story, was a year old. In around October, whenever she had a nap, I sat down and I wrote this story. And I had a neighbor, an old neighbor, Mr. Rogers, and who was an ex-Air Force pilot, and he was an illustrator. He loved to draw. He did beautiful watercolors, and he actually taught Scott about perspective and dimension, and Scott would go over often and draw with Mr. Rogers. It was kind of like he got full-on attention being the middle child. Anyway, and then, so Mr. Rogers volunteered to draw the illustrations for my story. And Grandpa, because these characters have a series of adventures, and they end up in Bethlehem, in the province of Judea, in what is now Palestine, Israel, and they are there for the birth of the baby Jesus, which is another story. But anyway, so that was the first story, and the name of the story was called Away Home, and the travels that the 3 characters took around the world, Grandpa made this book. This is the story, the original story. Grandpa made this book. It's called The Adventures of Leo, Bill, and Portia. Away Home. And then Grandpa, on the inside of the book, it's getting old. Anyway, traced the route of all the characters and how they went around the world and ended up where they did. So this, and you can see the books needed some tape. So all of these pages, so all of my typed words, this was before computers and autocorrect and everything else. My neighbor took my typed words, which I typed this story out, and he wrote it all out in calligraphy. So here, and so all of these illustrations, you can see, oh, there you go. These are all, here's the bull, here's the lion, here's the scorpion. So anyway, all of these illustrations, and he wrote every single page out in longhand. And this book was presented in 1987 at Christmas to the children. And we read it in Peterborough, and we read it in Bracebridge. And anyway, it sort of comes out every year at Christmas. And at the end of this story, I wrote, as the author, Leo, Bill, and Portia return home safely. But how they get there and what fun and adventure they have on their trip is the material of next year's story, Going Home. Well, next year, life got very busy with 3 young children, toddlers, and the year after, and the year after. So 30 years passed, no sequel, no Going Home. And then, 7 years ago, my eldest son, Sean, surprised me and his siblings with a 30th anniversary edition of the story. So he had taken the story, and when he was working at Devereux School, he had a secretary who kindly typed on the computer, anyway, all the words in the calligraphy version, and created a book. And all of his siblings and Grandpa and I have this book. This is the original book, so I think you all have a copy of one at your home. It needs a few edits, and that's coming in another version. Long story, but we're coming to the end. So, I always knew I wanted to write the sequel. And then I went through cancer. And my friend Marilyn had said to me, when you're walking around your fields, because as you know, I'm a big walker, think about your story and I'll illustrate it for you. I don't know when it originally came up, maybe when I visited her in Arizona the year before. But anyway, but I didn't feel like writing a story at that time. I just wanted to get through it and be well, and I didn't feel like writing. But this year, I turned 70, and I thought there were two goals I wanted to set for myself, and one was a big hike in Scotland. So, you know, I went and hiked the West Highland Way, doing about 20 kilometers a day. And the other was to write Going Home. So, this year I did that. And it was just finished, probably about, in terms of printing, and I worked with an incredible graphic designer. Marilyn did all the illustrations. But here's the sequel. The book is called Going Home. And the book is dedicated, The Adventures of Leo, Bill, and Portia. This book is dedicated to my grandchildren, Keegan, Carter, Julian, Dominic, Russell, Felix, Danica, Connor, and Molly. So I'm going to give the first book. This is your Christmas present from Grandma, Yolo, Go-Go, my three monikers, to Keegan.
Thank you.
And once I give you all your copy, I'm going to tell you something. This should be Carter, if I'm not mistaken, in birth order to Carter.
Thank you.
Steve, can you grab me a Kleenex, if you don't mind? And you can look at this year's version. This is, Grandpa did the map again, so where the characters go. This is to Julian. This should be Dominic. So you all have your own copy. This should be Russell. Russell. Thank you. You're going to get it too. To Felix. Felix, I think. Danica.
And how old is Felix?
Oh, you're right. You should have been first. To Danica.
For those of us keeping track.
I went. Serious omission. To Connor. And to Molly. So I'll leave that for Scott and Sass. And then there is to Sean and Catherine. To Scott, maybe you can give that to him. To Saskia, if you would like one.
I would absolutely. Thank you.
There you are.
Have the other one at home.
All right, so what I want to tell you is that's a special note to you, and maybe some of you can read it, and others who have trouble reading, maybe their parents can help them. But you have to be careful with these books, anyway, but what I want to tell you is that, if I can have your attention for one more minute, is all of you, not only is this book dedicated to you, but all of you appear in this book in one chapter or another. And you appear in the month that you were born. you might not see your name exactly as it's written. You might see your name in a different way or a different representation, but all of you are there, and some of you play a bigger role in the story than others. Some of the stories or chapters of each month are longer than the others. December is a big one. Yeah, December is a big one. So, but we have two who have birthdays in March, Danica and Dominic. And so anyway, so you're all there. Oh, careful, Connor.
So then,
Connor, are you
Maybe
moved
not
up
a
to
good
the
place
pages?
on the stool, because it mushes. Anyway, you're all there. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy the story. And the illustrations were done by Marilyn, and they're amazing. As somebody said, wow, she even makes the scorpion look friendly. The scorpion is almost the narrator, the teller of the tale in many ways. But anyway,
Just got resting bitch face.
That makes so much sense.
what?
Well, I'm reading Carter's part, and it's the Carter,
Yeah.
cart driver. Ain't that funny?
Yeah, so there is a prologue to the
That's so
story to situate you where the characters begin their adventure in going home. So you will see that there. Okay? So that is why I am especially glad to have you here, because the story was written and the story is now there for perpetuity.
Forever and ever.
Yeah. And next year, we hope to have an updated, corrected version of Going Home.
Yay!
Or
I'm gonna take a panel picture so everyone can stay frozen. So that
You're
it's
welcome.
blurry, and you'll look just smile. Okay, so sit on the couch and be frozen while I take this.
His hair. Yeah, I mean.
Connor, there's a picture I think you'll like.
Okay, we'll start again.
Oh, I'm
Mom, no
quiet.
talking.
You need to be frozen.
Okay.
Ready? Yeah. I don't know. Okay, got it.
Okay, so I should tell you that this first story, I read this book after I wrote it because I read it to Sean's class. So Sean was in grade 5 or 6 at Pleasant Park School, where Sean Scott and Saskia,
better than mine on that one.
Sean Scott and Saskia all went to school, and he had his class was a great class. And the principal, so I read it to them because it was Christmas and it was a Christmas story. And the principal, Bill Langdon at the time, who was a friend, I liked him, and he and the librarian said to me, you should try and publish that story. Though I had written it not to be published, I'd just written it for my children. And then I did submit it for publication. And back in the day, now you wouldn't even hear, but I got letters from the various kids publishers in Canada, and they said, we have a limited market, but I did get a personal note, limited Christmas market, perhaps try again next year. So I never pursued it, and that was that. But yeah, but that was kind of a neat thing. That and the story is also, it's not targeted to little children. It's just told for any age level, and so for some of you it will mean your parents reading it to you, and for others of you, you can take your time to read it. Anyway, I think that's the end of the story for now, and I hope you enjoy the book and have as much fun with it as I did writing it.
Thank you.
Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Yay, go go! Connor, what do you say, buddy?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hank Hole.
Thank you.